Christian Horner isn't known for holding back, and after the Montreal Grand Prix, he's made it clear that he's had enough with the FIA's inconsistencies. This time, his frustration centers around a controversial penalty handed to Yuki Tsunoda, and the implications of that call might go far beyond just one driver's weekend. So let's walk through what really happened. During the final free practice session in Montreal, Tsunoda found himself behind Oscar Piastri, whose McLaren was limping around the track with a severely damaged tire. It wasn't just a slow lap, it was a full-blown hazard. Piastri's car was unstable, shedding rubber, and clearly not in a safe condition to remain on circuit. Faced with the choice of either sitting behind a dangerously slow car or overtaking under red flag conditions, Tsunoda made a snap decision. He moved off the racing line and passed Piastri at a reduced speed. The goal wasn't to gain advantage, it was to avoid danger, but that didn't matter to the stewards. The result: a 10-place grid penalty for Tsunoda, one of the harshest penalties handed out that weekend. And this is where things get controversial. Horner, along with a growing chorus of fans and analysts, pointed out the glaring inconsistency. Just last season, Sergio Perez completed an entire lap with a broken rear wing and was only hit with a 3-place grid drop, and that wasn't even during a red flag. Somehow, in this case, the FIA viewed Tsunoda's defensive driving as more deserving of punishment than someone driving a structurally unsafe car around the track. That doesn't make sense, not for Horner, and not for a lot of people watching. Christian laid it out plainly. Yuki's penalty effectively ruined his entire race weekend. He didn't even get the chance to compete properly. And what's more frustrating, there were drivers who overtook under safety car conditions after the race, and nothing happened. No investigation, no penalties, no explanation. So now we're asking the obvious: where's the consistency? You can't penalize one driver for overtaking under dangerous circumstances and then ignore a similar situation, or worse, just because it happened at a different time. Tsunoda was doing what any rational driver would do, protecting his car and arguably the cars around him. The alternative was sitting behind a car shedding debris, or worse, risking a collision if Piastri's car failed completely. From Yuki's perspective, the move was simple logic. In his own words, "I saw Piastri's tire was going sideways. I thought the tire was going to fly off. So I went far right. I checked the car ahead of Oscar and behind me to make sure there was no one. Then I went far left and overtook with a sensible speed, 170 kilometers per hour. That's half the speed we usually drive, and I got a 10-place penalty. I don't know what they want me to do." That's not a reckless driver. That's a calculated, cautious response to a dangerous situation. The kind of decision-making F1 should reward, not punish. Unfortunately, that penalty knocked Tsunoda out in Q2 and sent him to the back of the grid. He wasn't alone. Lawson and Gasly also started from the back due to car changes. But Yuki's drop felt avoidable. It felt unfair. Horner believes Yuki could have scored points if he'd started where he qualified. That's a big claim, but not an outrageous one. Tsunoda has quietly been putting together a solid season, improving race after race. He's matured, dialed in his setups, and started to find rhythm in a car that, let's be honest, isn't always the easiest to manage. But now the bigger question looms. Was that grid penalty just a one-off screw-up? Or is it part of a bigger problem with how the FIA handles discipline? Let's not forget, in modern Formula 1, teams are fighting for tenths of a second. A 10-place grid drop is massive. It changes strategy, ruins momentum, and, in cases like Yuki's, kills the chance to showcase progress. When penalties are handed out like this, without nuance or consistency, the sport suffers. And for Tsunoda, the stakes are even higher. He's not just fighting for points, he's fighting for his future. Red Bull's driver program is stacked. Isaac Hadjar has been on fire this season and is already being talked about as the most promising rookie outside of Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Helmut Marko has praised Hajar's raw pace and racecraft, and insiders say he's already under serious consideration for a seat in the senior team. Hajar himself even admitted he doesn't feel completely ready for the top job, but he'd take it without hesitation. "I'm a fighter. I want to go up against the best. If I could learn from Max, I'd improve faster than anywhere else." Meanwhile, Racing Bull's CEO Peter Bayer is desperately asking Red Bull not to promote Hajar too soon. He wants more time to develop the rookie, but that might not be up to him. If Tsunoda can't deliver now, Red Bull may make the move early. And unlike some others who've been reshuffled within the Red Bull ecosystem, Tsunoda might not land anywhere inside it if he's dropped. Lawson could be next in line for Racing Bulls, and if the rumors are true, Yuki's only fallback might be Cadillac, who are reportedly leaning toward experienced drivers like Bottas or Perez, but could shift focus if Tsunoda becomes available. That puts a lot of pressure on a driver who's already being hammered by questionable penalties. And speaking of pressure, let's talk about that car. According to Marko, Tsunoda now has the same spec as Max Verstappen. No more B-spec excuses, no more part delays. In theory, he has the tools to prove himself. But with Red Bull standards, that also means the expectations are sky high. Marko recently said, "Yuki now has the same parts as Max. No excuses. He must score points. If he doesn't, we'll look at alternatives." Let's be real. The writing is on the wall. Either Yuki delivers a consistent string of points finishes in the second half of the season, or his time in the Red Bull program may be over. And it's not just about Red Bull. The bigger picture here is how the FIA's penalty system plays into driver careers. When inconsistent rulings disrupt the careers of rising talents, especially those outside the top 3 teams, it distorts the competitive balance. The FIA can't afford to keep getting this wrong. We're not talking about split-second race decisions here. These are penalties that change grid positions, championship points, and even long-term career trajectories. The pressure is on everyone, not just the drivers. So we'll leave you with this. Was Yuki Tsunoda unfairly penalized for doing what he thought was the safest thing in the moment? Should Oscar Piastri have been penalized for continuing to drive an unsafe car instead of stopping? And more importantly, is the FIA making Formula One more confusing and inconsistent with each passing season? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's talk about it. And if you want more F1 breakdowns, controversy, deep dives, and driver drama, hit that like button and check out the next video right here on the screen. You won't want to miss what's coming next.